Silver is one of my passions. I'm here to talk about the benefits. If you recognize that God has given us many tools, I only have 4 doctor's degrees, and I finally realized that your body will heal itself if you give it the proper tools. So now you don't need to go to 4 medical schools to learn that. You know exactly everything I do as well. But the reality is very simply this: God has given us this tool. We've been smart enough to hone it, polish it, change it just a little bit, but I want you to know I give God all the credit for all the healings that have taken place. And I hope the rest of you recognize that your bodies do the healing that the silver triggers. So all of it comes from here. With that stated, silver destroys bacteria, viruses, yeast, mold, and even the parasites that cause malaria. What antibiotic can come close to that? None. There is nothing that can come close to that. If you take 650 bacteria that cause diseases in humans, and you take the most broad-spectrum antibiotic like Cipro, and you put it in Petri dishes and kill everything in there, you know how many bacteria it will kill? 22 out of the 650. Oh, but that's a broad spectrum. That is our best antibiotic. What do we do with all the other 628 pathogens? Well, we usually die from them. And we laugh about it until we hear the word E. coli, or until we hear the word salmonella. Well, let's see, that's been in the news this week, am I right? Have 400 people? Pseudomonas, the plague. I can go on and on and on, and if we don't kill the bacteria, it kills us. So we have a natural way to do that. It's silver. Now, I'm here to talk specifically about women's issues. So I will, and I'll make a few jokes, and if I offend anybody, please know that it's just laughter, and that's the best medicine. So you can laugh at me or with me, and I hope you feel the same. With that stated, men that are here, we recognize that it's best for me to come and do a women's talk, because about 90% of all the silver is purchased by women, even though 60% of it is for men. And the guys laughing on the front row know that's true, am I right? Okay, so men, we're going to talk about you too, but I'm going to talk more specifically about women because women have issues that are not being dealt with by their doctors. That's unfair. That's prejudice. No, it's just something they don't want to do. Many of you know I've done videotapes that are training tapes for the OBGYN Association on infection control for women. So I have taken my experiences with my colleagues' experiences, and with the silver, we've learned to deal with the issues that women are not getting to deal with when they go to their doctor. Let me give you an example. And men, if you don't like the word vagina, just stare at the floor for the next 30 minutes. We're going to say it anyway. Laugh it up. I did a radio show and they named it Woman to Woman with Dr. Pedersen until they saw me sit down and they went, well, we can't change it now. So anyways, I've been granted a lot of women's issues in my life. This is a book that used to be this thick that's now only 75 pages. Why? In the last 5 years, something happened to society. We don't read anymore. We get 1-minute clips, and we get it off the internet. So we took those 1-minute clips, basically, and we talked to women directly about how to deal with these issues. Let me give you the example. Maybe you know somebody who went to the doctor, and she went in and said, I have a yeast infection, doctor, I need some help. This yeast infection was intravaginal, and she was itching and scratching and in a lot of pain and suffering, and the doctor says, oh, that's terrific. I've seen you for 13 seconds. Here's a prescription for something that will kill your yeast infection. And you get an antifungal drug. And you only get 2 pills now, right? Used to you could get like a whole, and now you only get 2 because they're so dangerous. And a couple of days later, now it's changed. And the pain is deeper inside, and it's now spotting blood too. Oh, dang, he gave me an antifungal drug. The problem with antifungal drugs is they make the bacteria grow. So into the doctor we go. Oh, here's a prescription for an antibacterial. Oh, here's an antibiotic. Okay, so you take the antibiotic every day, and all of a sudden, the yeast infection is back. And every 2 weeks, you go through this back and forth and back, and we'll take them together. Who knows? What happens is this. Antibiotics make yeast grow. Antifungal drugs make bacteria grow. And women don't know this because nobody taught them this, because we've only had antibiotics for, 10 or 20 years in that category. So what is a woman going to do? Half of them just go away and suffer, and they don't do anything. And the problem gets worse. And then when it comes back, they get terms like endometriosis, or the whole lining of their uterus is now covered with a problem. And they have these problems that just go on day after week, after month, after year, because doctors don't really do that much down there anymore. You put your feet up in the stirrups, and they go, oh yeah, you've got that next. They walk out. They have lasers. They have ways to wash that area out. They have all these different tools, but nobody does it anymore. Doctors don't care about hygiene if they can write a prescription and walk away from it. Now, with that in mind, silver is a woman's best friend. And the reason why is because it destroys bacteria and yeast. And I got to tell you, the OBGYNs that come back to me and they email me and they write me letters and they meet me at the anti-aging conventions and they come up to me and they hug me. Doctors don't hug, right? Doctors hug me and say, my patients think I'm a god. They've been to doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor, but when you give them a tube of gel and it has silver in it, and they put it down in there themselves, and they take care of it without a diagnosis, and as soon as they itch, they take care of it and it's gone, that's good. That's prevention. But what they really are impressed with a doctor is when they've been to another doctor and they've received an antibiotic and then an antifungal and then an antibiotic and then an antifungal, and it goes on and they can't get it under control. And they give them a tube of this gel and say, drink 2 teaspoons of the liquid and use this gel 2 or 3 times a day. And in 24 hours, they're like, oh my gosh, I have control of my life back. Is it that dramatic? It's that dramatic. So, I've taken all the words that nobody dares to say, and I put them in this little 75-page booklet, and there's words that absolutely scare OBGYN doctors as much as they scare their patients. But we're giving you a recipe book on how to use the silver to deal with women's issues. Now, men, you might think, oh, this is only about women. Realize, the silver kills bacteria in you as well. And if I might have every man in the room look down at the ground and plug their ears for a minute, I just want to talk to the women for like 1 minute. I'll let you know. Notice no man's doing it. They're like, this is a secret I want to hear. All right, if you're listening, I'm going to be blunt with you, men. More than half of the time, the woman's problem was caused by you. Ooh. Most men don't agree. You guys are pretty spectacular. So, in this book, here's a table of contents. And the first chapter talks about dealing with the problem is bacterial infections of the vagina. Okay, there's one man here that told me he's going to count how many times I say the V word. He didn't dare say vagina, but that's twice for you anyways. So we have this infection. Then we have chlamydia. Do you realize that silver destroys sexually transmitted diseases? Wow. If there was no other reason than I was here, and I was speaking for the Public Health Association, or whatever you call it in Canada, and I were giving a lecture, I would say, instead of using KY jelly, which is a water-soluble gel and personal lubricant for sexual use, this silver is water-soluble lubricant with silver in it that kills bacteria, all of them, viruses, including HPV, human papillomavirus, yeast, and sexually transmitted diseases. Kills them all. Kills every one of them. So you have a treatment and you have a prevention all in the same product.